So, let's talk about Oprah Winfrey. Now, this isn't just another story about fame and fortune. Not at all. This is a story about a journey, a really powerful journey, about finding your voice when you've been silenced by, well, by just about everything.
Wow. I mean, right from the start, she's telling us something so raw. This tells you everything you need to know. No matter how much success you have, the past, it leaves its mark. This is the foundation of her entire story. A life shaped by some really deep wounds, but, and this is the important part, not defined by them.
And to really understand the voice she eventually found, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to start in the silence, in a childhood that was marked by some pretty profound darkness.
You have to picture this. Oprah was born into a world that, frankly, offered her next to nothing. She was born in rural Mississippi to an unmarried mother, and they lived in such extreme poverty that things we take for granted were total luxuries. For the first few years of her life, she was raised by her grandmother, Hattie Mae Lee.
And then, when she was just 9 years old, everything fell apart. The abuse began. And it wasn't a stranger. It was carried out by relatives, by the very people who were supposed to protect her. This wasn't just a one-time thing either. It was a horrifying cycle of trauma that went on for years.
Can you even imagine the weight of that for a little kid? After she tried to tell her mom what was happening and felt like she wasn't being heard, this was the heartbreaking conclusion she came to. It's a feeling of being completely and utterly alone, thinking that your only purpose is just to endure.
But here's the thing about stories like this. Even in the deepest darkness, you sometimes find a little spark. And for Oprah, this was the moment she discovered her voice and the incredible power that it held.
Get this, she was only 4 years old when she first felt that little bit of magic. She stood up to read scriptures in her church, and when she finished, the whole congregation applauded. For her, that was a total revelation. It was the very first time she realized, hey, my voice can actually move people. It can create a connection.
So you see, it was her grandmother who, even with nothing, gave her these two incredible gifts, the ability to read and a sense of faith. And she provided the environment, that little church, which became Oprah's very first stage, where she first got a taste of the power of speaking, a skill that would, one day change the world.
Now, after a really traumatic period, which included a teenage pregnancy and losing her child, a huge, life-altering turning point happened. She was sent to live with her father in Nashville. And this move? It would change absolutely everything.
Her dad, Vernon Winfrey, he gave her something she'd never really had before: structure, discipline, and a whole new mindset. He told her this, and it just fundamentally shifted her entire focus, away from the trauma she'd survived and toward the future she could actually build for herself through education and her own choices.
And just look at the explosion that happened next. It's unbelievable. At 14, she moves in with her dad. Boom. By 1971, she's crowned Miss Black Tennessee, a moment she later said was the first time she ever felt beautiful, not broken. Boom. At 17, that powerful voice of hers lands her a job at a radio station. And then, while she's still in college, she shatters a massive barrier, becoming Nashville's very first black female TV anchor. The momentum was just incredible.
Okay, so Nashville was huge, but it was really just the training ground for what came next. Her entry into the wider world of television would be her biggest test yet. As a pioneer, she was under a microscope all the time.
I mean, people literally said out loud, can a black woman really be an authority figure on TV? They doubted her at every turn. But instead of letting that crush her, she just used it as fuel. Every newscast, every single word she spoke became part of her fight to prove them all wrong and to claim her space.
And the results? They were just undeniable. Check this out. In 1984, she takes over this failing morning show in Chicago. It's at the absolute bottom of the ratings, about to be canceled. Within months of her showing up, it became the #1 show in the entire city. The turnaround wasn't just fast, it was immediate.
So that Chicago show? That was the spark that lit the fuse for a global explosion. She was about to completely redefine what a talk show could even be.
So what was her secret sauce? It was totally revolutionary at the time. First, people said she didn't just interview her guests, she listened, really listened. Second, she wasn't afraid to be vulnerable herself, and that made everyone, her guests, her audience, feel seen. And finally, she took all the pain from her own past and used her show to create a space for healing. She turned a TV show into, like, a form of mass therapy. And here's what's so important. She did all of this on her own terms. She founded Harpo Productions, that's Oprah spelled backwards, so she could own her own show and her own story. She took on that iconic role of Sophia in The Color Purple, a character whose struggles mirrored so many of her own, and earned an Oscar nomination for it. And she never, ever forgot where she came from, using her massive platform to give a voice to the voiceless, tackling the very issues that had once kept her silent. So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, what is her real legacy? It's so much bigger than just a TV show or a bunch of money. It's about the soul's victory.
Just think about the ripple effect. Her book club got millions of people excited about reading again, reminding them of the power of words that had literally saved her. She launched her own network, OWN, all about personal growth and the human spirit. And in 2013, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor a civilian can get in America, recognizing her unbelievable journey and influence.
And that really gets to the heart of her why, doesn't it? This quote says it all. This was her vow, her life's mission. She promised to use her voice for everyone who couldn't speak up, because she knew their silence, their pain, intimately.
So when you boil it all down, this isn't really a rags to riches story. That's not the point. The real victory here wasn't financial, it was spiritual. It's the story of a soul that was completely broken and found a way to heal itself, and in doing so, helped heal millions of others along the way. It's a story of rebirth.
And that's where her story kind of turns the mirror back on us. You know, after seeing how one person could turn their deepest pain into their greatest power, it leaves us with this one really important question to ask ourselves. In the middle of our own challenges, our own moments of silence, what does your own voice say?